this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan. Tonight, 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have I asked my HVAC guy I found on Angie.com to change my grandpa's trachea tube? Because I was so amazed by how quickly he replaced our air ducts. I knew I could trust him to change Pop-Pop's tube while I was on vacation.
Make it quick, young man.
Aw, see? Pop-Pop trusts you.
I think we should call a doctor.
Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
The big game commercials are basically must-see TV. This year, Elf Cosmetics went all out with an absurdly funny telenovela called Melissa. It stars Melissa McCarthy, Nicholas Gonzalez, Itati Cantoral, and Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil. The Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil is an ultra-glossy tinted lip oil that nourishes, hydrates, and enhances your lips' natural color.
Watch the full episode of their new Elf novela on soyunbaño.com.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
How do you make chicken nuggets like 7,000% better? Short answer, you let Taco Bell make them. Long answer, start with all white meat chicken nuggets, bread them in crunchy tortilla chips, and serve them with Hidden Valley Diablo Ranch. Yep, that's Hidden Valley Ranch mixed with Taco Bell Diablo sauce. It's exactly what it sounds like, and somehow even better. Simple math, spicy results. Crispy chicken nuggets from Taco Bell. A brand new classic. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only, while supplies last.
Support for The Middle comes from the stations that air the show and from you. Thanks for making a donation at listentothemiddle.com.
Welcome to The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson, coming to you from KERA in Dallas, Texas, along with our house DJ Tolliver, who, unlike a certain Spotify DJ, is not AI generated. Isn't that right, Tolliver?
You know what's messed up? He does kind of sound like me.
He does. He sounds like you.
Am I so replaceable?
No, I don't think so. By the way, thing I learned, Tolliver, I am broadcasting actually from the temporary studios of KERA, which is actually the studios of the oldest radio station in the state of Texas, WRR. It was licensed in 1922, which is kind of amazing. Thing I also learned, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is the #1 market for the largest private employer in the country. That would be Walmart. There are over 150 Walmart and Sam's Club stores in this area, and so they just built one of their first automated distribution centers in nearby Lancaster, Texas. Now, these facilities can use robots to package up groceries to send to their stores. They even put like fragile items like eggs and peaches at the top so they don't break. Very smart robots. And
Better
of course, these facilities mean that fewer humans will be needed going forward. And we heard just in the last week or so that the nation's second largest private employer, that would be Amazon, is cutting 14,000 jobs. Although the CEO, Andy Jassy, has claimed AI isn't just replacing people at the company. It may actually lead to more human jobs at Amazon. Here he is in an interview with CNBC.
Yes, like with every technical transformation, there will be fewer people doing some of the jobs that the technology actually starts to automate. But there are going to be other jobs, and we're going to hire more people in AI and more people in robotics, and there are going to be other jobs that the technology wants you to go hire that we'll hire over time too.
Well, that may be the case or maybe not, but a report out this week found there were more job cuts in this country in October than any October in more than 20 years, and that report cited AI disruption as one of the key reasons. So we want to know from you, do you think that AI will take your job? Are you worried about it? Tolliver, how can people reach us?
You can call us at 8444-MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. Or you can write to us at listentothemiddle.com. And I'm looking at all your comments on YouTube and all that. So,
joining us this hour, businessman Andrew Yang, founder of the Forward Party and founder and CEO of Noble Mobile, which pays you to use your phone less. Andrew Yang, it's great to have you here on The Middle.
Thanks for having me. Great to be back.
Well, and Ina Fried is also back with us, senior technology correspondent at Axios. Ina, welcome to you.
Good to be here.
So before we go to the phones, Andrew Yang, there is a report from Bernie Sanders and his Senate committee that says 100 million jobs are going to be lost to AI in the next 10 years. What do you think about that prediction?
Order of magnitude, probably about right. Unfortunately, 44% of American jobs are either repetitive manual or repetitive cognitive. And given the size of the workforce, that's about 100 million plus workers. I think it might take a little bit longer than 10 years, but that it's going to be excruciating for a lot of Americans, and we're already seeing the early impact.
Ina Fried, do you agree with that? What does your reporting tell you? How many jobs are at risk and how soon?
Well, I think it's going to be bumpy and uneven. I don't know where we get to exactly, but there's certainly a wide swath of jobs that AI is showing itself to be remarkably good at, more so than we thought maybe a year or so ago in terms of actual performance. It turns out the companies, though, are having a tougher time doing it. So the technology exists to automate the job, but what's hard for a lot of companies is the people processes that they've built are for human workers. So I think we're going to have this couple of year period where companies want to use AI but struggle to do so. But I think the underlying technology is likely to radically reshape the nature of work.
And Andrew, what jobs do you think are most at risk? What are the jobs that where people really should be worried right now about AI taking them?
Right now, it's repetitive white-collar work. There are about 2 million Americans who still work in call centers, or at least there were. I bet that number is shrinking very fast. I speak to CEOs, and they tell me that they're replacing their customer service departments with AI, and that the customers are totally fine with it. It used to be that when we got that bot on the phone, we'd say,
agent,
000,
right,
person, human. But now the interface has gotten good enough where you're like, oh, I don't hate this. It's not bad. And so you can see those 2 million jobs disappear pretty quickly. Law firms are going to be hiring fewer associates, banks, insurance firms, accounting companies. You know, the way I visualize it is that all of those big office buildings that had tons of cubicles and human beings, they're the equivalent of the factory that had the robots show up in the 90s. In this case, the AI isn't as big and conspicuous, but the AI is there, and a lot of those cubicles are going to be emptied out.
But, okay, so if you think about lawyers, though, Ina, they go to school, they learn a lot of things. I mean, aren't they still useful? Isn't it still useful to have a lawyer who can think with a brain and say, actually, this is how we should argue this case?
Well, certainly having the critical thinking skills, somebody needs to have those at the top of the food chain. But what you're seeing in a lot of the cases is that the work that sort of got you to be that senior partner, a lot of that work underneath that, that sort of people built up the skills over years and years, but a lot of what they were doing to build those skills is grunt work. You know, document review. If you look at the types of stuff that a first or second year law student or lawyer was doing, an associate, they were not the greatest jobs, but they were doing it with the promise that they'd be able to work their way up. The challenge right now is we're creating a system in which you're going to want somebody who has years of practical experience in the field to be the ultimate decision maker to interact with the AI. But how do you ever get that if all the jobs that get you there? And I know this is something Andrew's talked a lot about. So again, we're going to have to be really thoughtful. And so far, I don't see a lot of evidence that we are in sort of designing systems that work better with humans to get to the kind of future I think any of us want. Unfortunately, I think we're barreling ahead towards a future where a lot of people get laid off because of AI, but there's not the human judgment at the top of the funnel that's needed to ensure even that experience. You know, again, to Andrew's point, I think, you know, you might be able to call a call center and have a satisfactory experience, but the important thing is that when that bot fails, you're going to have a human who's really experienced that's able to take that escalated call. And you don't get there if nobody's learning how the system works in the first place.
So is that the biggest problem then, Andrew, the entry-level positions where people will not be able to learn and grow and go up the ladder because they never got those first skills because that job is unnecessary?
Yes, I feel terrible for the young people who are set to graduate from college this year, next year, the year after that. And I talked to the CEO of a publicly traded tech company who said to me confidentially that they're going to replace 50% or so of their workers over the next 3-4 years. And his daughter knows this, and his daughter's a college student. So his daughter's like, well, I guess I'm not going to get a job at your company, and I'm probably not going to get a job at a tech company that looks like yours. I was an unhappy attorney for a number of months, and the way the law firms used to be structured was a pyramid, like was saying, that you have a person at the top and then a bunch of grunts trying to get there. Now I joke that instead of a pyramid, it's going to be a column, because you don't want an army of first and second and third years that you're essentially paying to train in the hopes that some of them can work their way up and become a money generator. Instead, you want to have an experienced person at the top and then AI below them. And the AI is cheaper, faster, and you might hire like 1 or 2 law school graduates, whereas before you might have hired 10 or 20. And so that there's going to be a massive lost generation of young white-collar wannabe workers, unfortunately.
Ina, let's get out of law firms for just a second. Let me ask you something else that also involves people getting into a profession entry level. Are AI deciding if you get that job interview right now, no matter what the industry is? Are they the ones that are picking which resume gets selected to be looked at?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're in this really awkward time where everyone's using AI. And again, the systems just don't exist for it to be done well. So yes, an AI is scanning all those entries. And of course, the bar to submit those entries has gotten a lot lower because an individual can use ChatGPT and say, write me 100 cover letters. And so we have this weird thing where you can generate all the content you want, and then it's too much for the employer, or we're going to see this in a lot of things, and they're using AI to screen it. I think to some degree that's going to increase for the next couple of years the importance of existing relationships, that human relationships become more powerful in the short term because AI is going to get in the way of our communications. Even though it's making it easier for me to refine my communications on an individual level, it's giving everyone that capability. So millions of people can apply for a single job. An employer can't sort through that, so they're going to use AI to sort through the millions. Who's most likely to get hired? The friend of the CEO.
Let me just quickly ask you, Andrew, just for a little piece of good news, what jobs are least likely to be replaced by AI?
There are non-repetitive cognitive and non-repetitive manual jobs. And non-repetitive manual jobs can be jobs that don't require a lot of education. And the example I like to use is hotel room cleaner. That's actually very, very difficult to automate. If you can imagine a robot trying to go into a hotel room after you leave it and change the bed sheets and clean up that weird stain you left or whatever it happens to be, like that's something that a human's going to do. Now, that's not a job we all want. That's not a job where your kid's like, oh, great news.
Especially if you've got like a Jerry Seinfeld or George Costanza saying one tuck and one no tuck for the beds. Stand by a second. Tolliver, as we've said, one of the most shocking predictions about what AI and automation will do to jobs comes from Senator Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, and he has some thoughts about what to do about it. Here are a couple of his ideas from a video he released last month.
Workers need a seat at the table to best determine how AI is used in their companies. If Tesla workers were on their corporate board, I doubt very much that they would be rewarding Elon Musk with $1 trillion pay package. Third, we must greatly increase profit sharing at our nation's largest corporations. In my view, workers should receive at least 20% of the stock in companies they work for. Corporate profits should not just be going to enrich wealthy stockholders and the billionaires who own them.
And we'll talk about some of those ideas coming right up.
Oh, I bet we will.
We will. And we'll be right back with The Middle.
It's an Olympics, you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan. Tonight, 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have we asked our contractor we found on Angie.com to be our kids' legal guardian? Because he took such good care when redoing our basement that we knew we could trust him to care for our kids, all 8 of them, should something happen to us.
Are you my dad now?
No, sorry, I do basements. Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
Ever wonder why so many people regain weight after stopping a GLP-1? Up to 40% of the weight lost can come from lean muscle. This weakens the body, slows metabolism, and makes it easier to put the pounds back on, creating a cycle of dependency. Prolon's 5-day fasting-mimicking diet offers a drug-free way to maintain results and support long-term metabolic health. In just 5 days, it activates fasting pathways to burn fat, protect muscle, and rejuvenate cells, all while letting you enjoy real food. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/iHeart. That's prolonlife.com/iHeart.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Welcome to the A Building. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba. It's 1969. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. had both been assassinated, and Black America was at a breaking point. Rioting and protests broke out on an unprecedented scale.
In Atlanta, Georgia, at Martin's alma mater, Morehouse College, the students had their own protest. It featured 2 prominent figures in Black history, Martin Luther King Sr. and a young student, Samuel L. Jackson.
To be in what we really thought was a revolution. I mean, people were dying.
1968, the murder of Dr. King, which traumatized everyone.
The FBI had a role in the murder of a Black Panther leader in Chicago.
This story is about protest. It echoes in today's world far more than it should, and it will blow your mind.
Listen to the A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson at KERA in Dallas this week. If you're just tuning in, we're a national call-in show focused on elevating voices from the middle, geographically, politically, philosophically, or maybe you just want to meet in the middle. This hour, we're asking you, are you afraid that AI will take your job? Tolliver, the number again, please.
It's 8444-MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. You can also write to us at listentothemiddle.com or on all social media.
I'm joined by Forward Party founder and CEO of Noble Mobile, Andrew Yang, and Axios chief technology correspondent, Ina Fried. And the phone lines are lighting up. But before we get to them, let me just ask you, Andrew Yang, about what we just heard Bernie Sanders say there, that he thinks that because AI will replace so many workers, the workers are going to need to have more of a stake in their companies in order to make money, own some of the stocks, sit on the boards. Is that realistic?
I'm not sure how realistic it is, but again, think about the young person who might not be hired by that company, or the person who's sending out 10,000 AI resumes only to get rejected by AI. Even if that company were to be more equitable in sharing the profits with its workers, if you're on the outside looking in, you're still going to be very sad. And the majority of Americans aren't working at one of these Tesla-type companies where there are profits that could be distributed. So I'm not sure how realistic it is, and I'm not sure if it solves the problem that we're describing for most people.
And are any companies trying to figure out how to make sure that the workers continue to get paid versus just reducing headcount so that they can increase their profitability with more AI?
Yeah, I think there are some companies that are looking at this not so much as a cost-cutting exercise, but how can we serve more people if we combine our employees and AI? And I do think it will be interesting in certain fields. I think there will be some companies that are more successful. For example, we talked about customer service and call centers. And look, if you've already outsourced your call centers to a company who's paid by the call and incentivized to spend as little time as possible, you're probably not going to be able to turn those call listeners into great representatives of your company. But if you're a luxury firm where customer care is still a real core part of what you do, I think AI does hold the opportunity to turn a smaller group of humans into sort of boutique and concierge service while letting AI do some of the stuff. So I do think there are some companies that are saying, how can we call on twice as many customers, not how can we have half as many salespeople?
Let's get to the phones. Austin is in Carrollton, Texas. Austin, are you worried that AI will take your job?
Yeah, sure. So at this very present moment, no. In the near future, absolutely. So I'm a software engineer, and I think initially a lot of people hear that and they think that you're in the safe zone, you're the guys working on this stuff. But AI is very much a text processor. It's very good at reading large amounts of text, making analysis on that, and spitting it back out in a pretty concise way. And coding is all writing text. So while I have 10 years of experience, right now we're at the stage where these advanced AI models are spitting out tons of code, and a lot of companies are saying, hey, look at this code, you as the experienced engineer, look at this code, is it good, put it into production, let it go. I don't know how long until the AI is going to be doing that part for me. At the moment, this stuff is moving so very quickly.
Yeah.
I've seen this stuff go from spitting out some code that I would look at and said, that's garbage, I'm going to write this in 15 minutes and be done with it.
So are you doing anything to prepare yourself? Are you thinking I'm going to have to change careers?
Honestly, it's a skill set mindset for me at the moment. Prompt engineering is what they call the people that are running the AIs, and there's people that are very, very good at it. It's a skill I have not been very keen on as an AI skeptic, but I see the wall coming, and I realize that if I don't get on this, I'm going to be behind that AI surge for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Austin, thank you so much for that call. Both of our guests were nodding as you said that. Ina, your thoughts about that, a software engineer?
Yeah, well, I heard two things. I mean, one, obviously, the tech industry is actually, the phrase always eating your own dog food. But, as the caller points out, AI is actually really good when it's got a structured language, and coding is a perfect example of that. So it is one of the areas that's being replaced the most. But it was actually the second part of what he was saying that struck me, and that's this notion of, really leaning into the AI technology. And whether you like AI or hate it, I think there's a great case to be made that individually the best thing you can do for yourself is to get really familiar with the technology. Be that person at your company that knows how to use AI. First of all, you'll be one of the most valuable to your company, unless and until they replace you. And also, that's sort of the mindset that probably you need to get into. Plus, the AI is just good. I only half jokingly said to someone last week that, even if your goal is to get rid of AI, you probably should be using AI to make the case for that because it's gotten that good.
With a lot of emojis, because AI loves emojis, especially the rocket
and
ship
M dashes.
emoji, and M dashes, right? Claire is calling in from Birmingham, Alabama. Claire, do you think are you worried AI is going to take your job?
Not at the moment, but I'm curious whether I should be. I'm a high school teacher, and I feel like that's a job that falls under the category that you described of a non-repetitive cognitive task. And in my opinion, I don't see AI being able to do a teaching job well, but there are so many AI platforms like Magic School AI that are already doing some teaching tasks for teachers that it seems like that could grow in the future and eventually potentially replace teachers altogether.
Andrew Yang, is a teacher at risk?
I think teachers are among the safest because if you think about the environment, you can't replace a human teacher with like a screen and a bot and say, hey, have at it for the kids. Now, some of the tasks could be some of the lesson planning, some of the curriculum design, but there's going to be a human teacher. And part of it also is like, who do the teachers work for? They work for a school district. And school districts, I think, are going to be budget constrained. But it's not like, if the head of a school district says, hey, guys, guess what? We're firing all the teachers and replacing them with bots, that they get a raise. I mean, that's not the way it works in that environment. Right. So I think that high school teachers are among the last people who should be concerned about being directly replaced.
It certainly made their jobs much tougher. ChatGPT for the moment is disrupting education. But yeah, I think it also, there's a couple skills involved in being a teacher that AI is no good at. Certainly dealing with the emotional needs of kids is pretty high on the list. But empathy in general and care, I think, are aspects that I would not expect AI to be very good at anytime soon.
We're just keeping the kid from running out of the room. The AI would need arms and legs.
I was talking to a professor this week who is going to all oral exams instead of having people do written exams, because at least then they have to learn a skill that maybe it won't be useful in the future, but being able to talk and actually, explain your thoughts and think about things, maybe that will be something that will be more useful in an age of AI. Juan is calling in from San Antonio, Texas. Juan, go ahead with your thoughts. Are you worried AI is going to take your job?
The opposite. I think that is going to make my job better, but that's a personal stance. I'm a professor of mathematics at the University of Texas at San Antonio. I conduct research on AI. I particularly have 2 projects from NIH and the National Science Foundation to train people on how to use AI to conduct complex, sophisticated tasks. We are witnessing, I believe, a profoundly disruptive period in human history, probably comparable to the invention of writing. Many jobs will disappear. It's going to cause an immediate shock, but the opportunities that is opening are probably going to compensate for the pain that we will experience in the short term. And I believe that as a society, we have to own this problem. We don't want to live in a society in which the poor cannot eat and the wealthy cannot sleep. That led to the French Revolution. So I think that there is a conversation that needs to be had about what is the social responsibility of communities and businesses toward people, because people is the foundation of society. At the same time, we need to train people to use AI. In the future, what I believe is that AI will be in everything we do. We're moving to a future in which people will not write directly. We'll direct agents to write for them.
Well, and it's already in just about everything that we do. But I appreciate that call, Juan, and Andrew Yang. Some optimism there from somebody who's deeply involved in AI already. Do you see that? Can we get past the shock and see a world where we have livelihoods or things to do with our time all day long and make money?
Was that call truly optimistic? When I ran for president in 2020, and many of you remember, I called for universal basic income or a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month because I thought that AI was going to displace millions and millions of American workers. Our GDP right now is $85,000 per person, which I thought was enough to start providing a foundation of $1,000 a month. I started Noble Mobile to try and lower everyone's wireless bills, because right now Americans are spending $83 a month on our wireless, whereas Europeans are spending $35, because I think getting money back into Americans' hands is the way we get through this mess. And you can be optimistic about the opportunities that a certain subset of Americans will have via AI, but we can all clearly see that millions are going to be on the outside looking in, unless our government gets its act together and starts distributing the gains from AI more quickly and broadly. And as you can tell, I'm energized about this because I called this stuff happening in 2019. Yeah. And you were there with me, Jeremy. Yeah. So, it's incredibly frustrating that now things have come to pass. And we're wondering what to do. It's obvious what we should do. We should eradicate poverty.
by the way, just to clear up for our listeners, I wasn't working on your campaign. I just interviewed you. That's how I was there with you.
Sorry. Like I
was right there with you.
I was wondering.
Right. No, Tolliver, what is coming in online at listentothemiddle.com from our listeners?
Sure. Mel in Colorado says, AI was a factor when I was laid off earlier this fall, along with federal budget cuts. With no social safety net, it's a recipe for disaster for an entire generation of millennials who were told to get college degrees to succeed. Let's go with Gwen in West Michigan. She says, I'm a substance use counselor. I chose this career recently because I think the human touch will always be appreciated in a counselor. Also, shout out to Andrew Yang. I voted for him and still have my Yang merch.
There you go. Let's get back to the phones. Steve is calling from Keene, New Hampshire. Steve, are you worried about AI taking your job?
Yeah, I am, and I'm a career musician and a music teacher, and ways we've been dealing with AI or computers or machines taking music out of our hands for many years. The prompter asked me if I thought, there was a chance of music being completely taken over, eradicating composers and live musicians. I'm not sure that's possible, but broadly, culturally, I worry about the effect and the depreciation of value in traditional arts and human arts of music as we take increasing advantage of things that are more easy to access.
Yeah, there was I think there was a symphony that was complete, that was unfinished, and then somebody found a way to complete it with AI, or however AI would do it. Steve, very interesting. Ina Fried, a musician. I mean, arts, I would think, would be something that would, be a later profession that would be taken over by AI.
You would think, but it's
doesn't.
not. And that's because a lot of people in the arts make their money today commercially. And so photographers have seen this for a long time with digital. I think other artisans are seeing this, particularly if their work is somehow commercial. So you're seeing the ability of AI to do soundtracks and graphic arts for Hollywood. And I think that's where we're going to see the pressure. I do actually think there will be a renaissance in human appreciation for human created art. I think that will be a likely side effect. The question is how many people will be able to afford to enjoy it. I think there will be plenty of people that have more time to produce it. I'd like to live in a world where there's an economy for people to support them. There's a saying that, we wanted AI to do the laundry so that we could create art, and we're having the opposite. And I think there's some truth to that, but I do think certainly where some of this nets out is that human creativity becomes a artisan good that people want to experience and will pay for. Again, we just have to build an economy where they have the resources.
They have the money,
that.
Right?
And Jeremy, a big part of my business is writing music for TV,
right?
And I'm nervous, man.
Yeah,
gotta be honest.
Right. Yeah, Tolliver's song was on the last episode of Abbott Elementary. He's a huge star outside of his middle fame. Nathan is in Berea, Kentucky. I hope I said that right, Nathan, but tell us what you are thinking about AI and your job.
Hi. So, one, Andrew Yang, thanks so much for being on here. Your robot tax, great idea. The Luddites in 1790 also had the same idea with taxing the power loom. But I'm not worried my job's going to be taken by AI. I'm a student. I worry my therapist job will be taken by AI. Right now, surveys say that around 20% or more of Gen Z and younger are willing to have an intimate relationship of various types with conversational AI. And, it's a lot easier to talk to a screen about deeply personal issues than a human sitting in front of you. With the Supreme Court trying to decide whether or not talk therapy is a First Amendment right or not, we might end up in a world where the chatbots aren't licensed therapists, but, they're wellness apps or they're AI girlfriends or AI boyfriends. So I'm very deeply worried that this is a harm that we can see coming at us.
Yeah.
With no brakes on it.
Yeah. Nathan, thank you. Very good point. Andrew Yang, it is true that a lot of people are using AI for therapy and even for relationships, like that movie Her.
Yeah, and it's just going to increase in frequency. I live in New York, and there was a giant subway takeover by a company called Friend.com, and there's an amulet, an AI friend, which seems dystopian to someone like me. But my wife is convinced it's going to be a very popular product, that there are a lot of people who really struggle making friends with social interaction, and it's a lot easier if you have an AI that introduces or a therapist. I think it's just going to pick up steam. And my joke would be like, have you seen, a young person recently? Like that. Like a lot of them are more comfortable with an AI type relationship.
Yeah. Again, our number is 844-4MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. Tolliver, not everyone is doomsaying about the effects of AI on jobs.
Yeah, here's one we found. The CEO of Goldman Sachs, David Solomon, on CNBC's Squawk Box last month.
Technology has been having an impact on headcount, the way people work, what workers you have, for decades and decades and decades. And this, I think one of the things that's happening here that's a little bit different is this is going at a pace that's quicker. Yeah. And so because the pace is so quick, I think there's a possibility that there's a little bit more volatility or, an unsettled transition, around certain job functions and things like that. But at the end of the day, we have an incredibly flexible, nimble economy. We have a great ability to adapt and adjust.
Something tells me, Tolliver, that the CEO of Goldman Sachs is going to be okay whether we adapt and adjust or not. That's just, I don't know for sure, but it just feels like that's the case.
Yeah, he doesn't need to go fund me. I think he's going to be fine.
I don't think so. We'll be right back with more of your calls coming up on The Middle.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan, tonight 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have we asked our contractor we found on Angie.com to be our kids' legal guardian? Because he took such good care when redoing our basement that we knew we could trust him to care for our kids, all 8 of them, should something happen to us.
Are you my dad now?
No, sorry, I do basements. Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Welcome to the A Building. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba. It's 1969. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. had both been assassinated, and Black America was at a breaking point. Rioting and protests broke out on an unprecedented scale.
In Atlanta, Georgia, at Martin's alma mater, Morehouse College, the students had their own protest. It featured 2 prominent figures in Black history, Martin Luther King Sr. and a young student, Samuel L. Jackson.
To be in what we really thought was a revolution. I mean, people were dying.
1968, the murder of Dr. King, which traumatized everyone.
The FBI had a role in the murder of a Black Panther leader in Chicago.
This story is about protest. It echoes in today's world far more than it should, and it will blow your mind.
Listen to the A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Ryder Strong, and I have a new podcast called The Red Weather.
It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea.
In 1995, my neighbor, Anna Trainer, disappeared from a commune.
It was hard to wrap your head around. It was nature and trees and praying and drugs.
So no, I am not your guru.
And back then, I lied to my parents, I lied to police, I lied to everybody.
There were years, right, where I could not say your name.
I've decided to go back to my hometown in Northern California, interview my friends, family, talk to police, journalists, whomever I can, to try to find out what actually happened.
Isn't it a little bit weird that they obsess over hippies in the woods and not the obvious boyfriend?
They have had this case for 30 years.
I'll teach you sons of to come around here and my wife. Boom, boom.
This is The Red Weather. Listen to The Red Weather on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson. In this hour, we're asking you if you're afraid that AI will take your job. You can call us at 844-4MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. You can reach out at listentothemiddle.com. I am joined by Axios Chief Technology Correspondent Ina Fried and Forward Party founder Andrew Yang. And just before we get back to the phones, Andrew, you heard the CEO of Goldman Sachs there saying, we've been through technological changes before. What about those people who say, this is we've dealt with this and it's just a fast pace, but we'll be okay?
Yeah, just check out that person's company's headcount 3 years from now. I talked to people who work at that firm, and they told me they're going to be cutting a lot of workers due to AI. So if you're the head of the company, you might have to say something positive about the adaptability of the economy. I talk to folks over dinner, privately, over drinks, and they all think that this is real and it's going to be a buzzsaw through their orgs.
Holly is calling in from Houston, Texas. Holly, are you worried about AI taking your job?
Hi, I am, yes. So I currently work as a customer success team manager at a tech company. We're not solely a tech company, but tech is a big part of the product. And very gradually, we are using AI more and more to assist our customers and building that out. And we're doing it in a very grassroots kind of homemade way. And it's a startup company. And so, a lot of people on our team are super worried about themselves being replaced. And to me, it's kind of a reflection of the value and quality of the product. If we're saying, it's this luxury product, but if we're saying hey, a robot can help you instead of a human, we're sort of devaluing our product in itself. And I'm feeling a little bit disillusioned by it personally. I've been trying to grow in my career, and actually I'm looking to study information science. That's the path I want to go. I actually used to be a teacher before I did this. And so anyway, I'm kind of curious to hear thoughts on information science and areas where job areas in that field where they might be safer from AI taking over people.
Yeah. Holly, thank you very much for that call. Ina, what do you think?
Well, I think if you're managing information, if you're sorting it, if you're doing it, those are the things that AI is really good at. So I think it's in any of these fields, it's going to need to be critical thinking. It's going to need to think of new products that you can deliver once you have the ability to shift the information in all sorts of interesting ways versus being really good at moving those pieces of language around, because that's what the AI models are really good at. And I think of these problems that we're talking about, the Goldman Sachs example, this example, as these are the problems if we get AI right. And we absolutely need to spend time on these. There's also the problems if we get AI wrong. And that's everything from the robots taking over. But it's also what the first voice you had in there was talking about in terms of our relationships with AI. I do think there's an opportunity for AI to help seniors, to help advance healthcare and mental health care that aren't out there. But boy, you've got to really do that well if you're giving mental health care. So that's an example where I think AI has a role to play, but it's important to get it right. But the job picture, which we talk about a lot, but not enough, is happens even if we get the AI right.
Well, and you heard it in her voice there, in Holly's voice there, just how distressing it is to kind of be training your replacement in a way. She's digging her own career grave there, and how that
And we
feels.
wrote this week that everyone is actually training their AI replacements. That's the stage of the economy we're in. You know, it
Yeah.
used to be just data labelers in third world countries. Now it's all Americans are probably in one way or another training our AI replacements, quite literally.
Daniel is calling in from Minneapolis. Daniel, go ahead with your thoughts.
Hi, thank you. I work in tech support, and it's been a very good career for me for 20 years. And what I'm noticing is that I think AI has already replaced entry-level tech support jobs, and it's already on its way to replacing the next tier of support as well. And I work at a software company where these tools are encouraged and very bullish on AI. And I find myself, I'm in more of a tier 3 position, but I find myself, I think it's only a matter of time before it comes for me as well.
So what are you going to do about it?
Right now I'm just trying to get a handle on AI and learn more about it and try to become adept with it, because my other options are to become a programmer, but that's not a good path. So.
Daniel, thank you. Andrew Yang, one thing I think about is as each of these callers, if they're right that AI is going to take their job, I mean, if we end up with millions or tens of millions or 100 million people in this country that are out of work after spending their whole life getting ready for a career, building themselves up in that career, what's going to happen?
Disintegration, strife, despair, radicalization, conflict, dissolution of what we currently think of as the United States of America. That's all on the table. And when I talked about this back in 2019, 2020, I felt very dystopian. But I got to say, guys, I mean, do we really think we're trending more towards utopia or dystopia? I mean, there's a lot of value being generated here. And if it was being shared broadly, a lot of these people that are calling right now might actually feel more optimistic, where they'd say, hey, my job's going to be eliminated, but what next? You know, what are the things that I would like to be doing, instead of feeling like you're hopping from one island to another while the water level is rising.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Let's go to Frank, who is in Boston, Massachusetts. Frank, go ahead. Are you worried about AI taking your job?
I am, and I'm also worried about that they're going to take it. And these, from what I understand, the process or these AI centers are going to eat up a lot of our energy. It's going to eat up a lot of our water, and like the gentleman just said, it's going to if they do take away all these jobs, it's going to cause strife, and that's probably the reason why these guys were bending the knee the other day with Donald Trump. They need an authoritarian government in order to get this thing to the level that they want. Instead of the regulations that were being imposed on them in the last administration. And I think that's one thing that they are not looking out for, is that there are other factors that this type of technology is going to end up causing to the society.
Right. Yeah, a great point, Frank. And Ina Frieda, I'm glad we brought up the issue of energy and water usage and all of that. We could do a whole show just on that, because if we're talking about people having less money coming in, they're also probably going to have more money going out for energy bills because they're competing with data centers for the energy.
Yeah, and that obviously shouldn't be the case. I mean, we need to decide how much energy is needed for this industry, and the industry should be paying for it. And right now, what you're seeing is, in many cases, the individuals near these data centers are seeing their electrical rates surge. And that's, I mean, to me, hard to explain to a homeowner that this new data center that's come in is not only not creating jobs, but it's driving up your utility bills. And I think we do have to look at the energy and the water usage. I will say the tech industry has a pretty good track record of lowering that over time, that things get more efficient, but we have made negative progress. It used to be that the Googles and Microsofts of the world were leading the way to clean energy and data centers that used almost no carbon because they were operating on renewables. And what we've seen in the last couple of years is that kind of go out the window because demand is so high. In some of these cases, these fancy new data centers are being powered by gas generators.
And Ina, forgive me for the broad question, but you were talking about water.
And I'm wondering, do you have any information on like the effect AI could have on farming jobs? Because some of the people have been writing in talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, farming's an interesting one because there are these examples, and, you know, we can easily get too U.S.-centric. You know, you can use AI to explain what you should ideally do on a piece of land. And if we get that information at the right time to a subsistence farmer in a developing country, you know, it can be the difference between eating and not eating, of feeding the family. So there are opportunities here. I think the idea that medical advice that's been limited and only the rich can afford is broadly distributed. That's a good thing. So there are good things that can come out of this, even at the planetary scale.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it takes thought, and it takes making sure that we're using these things in the right way. And that's the how do we do the AI? And that's a whole separate question.
This is a call coming in from Stamford, Connecticut, just outside New York City. Donna is on line 10. Donna, go ahead.
Yes, hi there. So I'm actually a career coach. So not only am I working with people struggling to find work from, you know, people in their 20s, computer science majors, copywriters with 25 years experience, but myself, you know, just like therapists, I too could be replaced eventually with agentic AI. I've been to workshops where we're being trained to create, you know, AI agents to replace us. So, you know, we're learning that as well. But I'm experiencing it firsthand with many clients of all ages.
Well, what do you say to them?
Well, that's the big question. There are still a lot of things people can do that require those skills that you were talking about earlier that aren't, you know, computerized. I mean, today one of my clients is trying to get back into the workforce, and you know, I asked her what her passions are, what she enjoys doing, and she came up, you know, with a whole list of them. And she has, you know, as we kind of talked through it, there are options for her to become an improv trainer or, you know, help work with young people doing recreational activities.
Right.
And those are activities that can't be replaced, you know, by a robot or an AI.
Right. At least
agent.
not yet. At least not yet, Donna. And Andrew Yang, the one thing I will say is improv, while fun and very important, doesn't usually make you a lot of money.
Yeah, one of the things that I'd advise really is trying to reduce your personal spending and your burn rate, unfortunately. I mean, you want to try and maintain some flexibility and ability to invest or make transitions, or maybe even try and start something if that's realistic, because it's going to get really rough out there. And the more adaptable and proactive you are, the better. The world where you could apply for a job and expect the job and then be there for years and years and then maybe eventually retire, I mean, those days are unfortunately disappearing.
Nevi is calling in from Chicago. Nevi, go ahead. Are you worried about AI taking your job?
Yeah, I am. I also work as a therapist. I do think there will always be people who will prefer and seek out human therapists, so I don't think it's going to go away entirely. But I'm more concerned about the harm that could be done of people using AI as their therapist. Mm-hmm. AI will always have the bias of whoever trains it, and in the therapy world, we talk about cultural competence and how important that is. And I imagine that these AI therapy chatbots will have lots of biases and will not be able to accurately help people. For example, I work with a lot of transgender clients, and I'm concerned about it being used in harmful ways, like as a conversion therapy tool, especially with the way this administration is moving. But more broadly, AI will just constantly validate you. It will just validate you over and over and tell you you're doing nothing wrong. And people need to be challenged. They need confrontation. It is through confrontation and human relationships that we grow and heal. And that can't happen using AI. And I've also noticed
Well, let me take that, Nevi. Let me stop you there because we're running out of time. But Ina Fried brings up an interesting point there about the data into the AI, and also, by the way, I'm sure every company is trying to figure out how to make sure that they get talked about first when you ask ChatGPT a question about where can I get a garden hose right now, and like. Should we be concerned about the data that's going into the AI and how that's going to tell us what to do and how that'll be used going forward?
Absolutely. And we've been writing about the issues around training data and the need for culturally broad training data. And that's come under fire in this administration. I think the more dangerous thing is we're going to have a fight over how these chatbots answer things. And we are seeing that. We're seeing that already, both from the government with the executive order that basically wants its views of the world reinforced. We're also seeing people who have active harm interests towards communities like the trans community create their own AI. So Elon Musk is explicitly trying to change the way the algorithms answer from what even the Grok itself came up with from its training data. And he's finally created a version that shares his hatred for trans people.
Yeah. I'm going to sneak in one more call real fast here. Daniel in Detroit, Michigan. Daniel, go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, I am a truck driver coming out of Detroit, and AI, I've heard, is they're trying to get autonomous driving in the industry. And I've been in a Tesla. A friend of mine, we took a trip from Toledo to Clearfield, Pennsylvania, and I wanted to see if he could actually do the entire trip without touching the steering wheel. He was not able to. He actually had to do so several times. And I do think it will come into the industry, but I think we're 20, 30 years down the road.
You don't think it's
Sorry,
there?
I'm
You don't
actually
think
at
it's
work.
there yet? Well, and I appreciate you calling while you're at work in the truck. Of course, some people have been in Waymos where you can sit there without touching the steering wheel for a while. Andrew Yang, I just want to wrap up with you in a final thought on this. We just had this election this week, and I have to say I didn't hear much in any of the campaigns about AI and jobs. And if it is going to be as disruptive as what we have been hearing this hour in all kinds of fields, why aren't people talking about it? Why aren't our leaders talking about it? Or what should they be saying about what needs to be done right now?
The only genuine solution would be to broadly distribute the gains and value from AI to the American people via something like a universal basic income or a freedom dividend. And because no political figure wants to actually raise a problem that they're not going to suggest a solution to, people shove it off to the sideline because they'd rather do the entire polarized tribal warfare, tit for tat. It's a weakness of the two-party system that you don't need to solve the underlying problem. You just need to be a little bit less unpopular than the other guy.
That is Forward Party founder and Noble Mobile founder and CEO Andrew Yang. We've also been speaking with Axios chief technology correspondent Ina Fried. Thanks so much to both of you for joining us.
Thank you. Check out Noble Mobile. I want to save you all some money. We're all
I'm going to
getting
charge
gouged
you.
on our wireless
I'm going to
bills.
charge
know
you
what
for
I'm
this
talking about.
ad, Andrew Yang. Tolliver, I will say that was one of my favorite shows that we have ever done. By the way, we are going to continue this conversation in a couple weeks, not just about jobs, but talking about whether you're excited or scared by AI and whether you think it will actually take over and destroy us. But next week, we're going to be right back here with the BBC's chief international correspondent, Lise Doucette, taking your questions about world news from the Middle East to Ukraine to Venezuela to tariffs.
Get your questions ready and subscribe to The Middle wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode.
Well, thanks to our friends here at KERA in Dallas for hosting us this week, Jackson Wisdorf and Jeff Penfield. The Middle is brought to you by Long Nook Media, distributed by Illinois Public Media in Urbana, Illinois, and produced by Harrison Patino, Danny Alexander, Sam Burmistaz, John Barth, Annika Deschler, and Brandon Kondritz. Our technical director is Steve Mork. Thanks to our satellite radio listeners, our podcast audience, and the hundreds of public radio stations making it possible for people across the country to listen to The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson, and I will talk to you next week.
Owning a home is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. And when something breaks, it can feel like the whole day unravels. That's why HomeServe exists. For as little as $4.99 a month, you'll always have someone to call. A trusted professional ready to help, bringing peace of mind to 4.5 million homeowners nationwide. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Over the last couple years, didn't we learn that the folding chair was invented by Black people because of what happened in Alabama?
The Montgomery Brawl.
This Black History Month, the podcast Selective Ignorance with Mandy B unpacks Black history and culture with comedy, clarity, and conversations that shake the status quo. The Crown Act in New York was signed in July of 2019, and that is a bill that was passed to prohibit discrimination based on hairstyles associated with race. To hear this and more, listen to Selective Ignorance with Mandy B from the Black Effect Podcast Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
1969. Malcolm and Martin are gone. America is in crisis. And at Morehouse College, the students make their move.
These students, including a young Samuel L. Jackson, locked up the members of the Board of Trustees, including Martin Luther King Sr. It's the true story of protest and rebellion in Black American history that you'll never forget. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba.
Listen to The A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Ryder Strong, and I have a new podcast called The Red Weather. In 1995, my neighbor, Anna Trainer, disappeared from a commune.
It was nature and trees and praying and drugs.
So no, I am not your guru.
And back then, I lied to everybody.
They have had this case for 30 years.
I'm going back to my hometown to uncover the truth. Listen to The Red Weather on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.